Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad ALIFF AIMAN bin ZANAINI, and this video is about problem solving in mathematics. This video consists of three parts, which are problem solving process, Sudoku, and reflection on problem solving learning. George Polya's model consists of four stages. First is to understand the problem, then devise a plan, carry out the plan, and lastly, look back. These stages provide a systematic approach that helps us solve mathematical problems logically and reflect on our solutions. So, the given problem is to evaluate the sum without adding each number one by one from 17 to 93. So, the first step is understand the problem. The problem asks us to find the total of the sequence 17 plus 18 plus 19 to 93. The constraint given is that we cannot add the numbers one by one. Also, we notice that the sequence follows a clear arithmetic pattern where each number increases by 1. Recognizing this pattern is important because it suggests there is a more efficient method than direct addition. Next, in the planning stages, I use logical pattern recognition. By pairing the first and the last numbers, such as 17 plus 93 and 18 plus 92, each pair equals 110. Since every pair has the same sum, the problem becomes much easier to solve. So, the plan is to determine the total number of pairs and multiply that by 110. In the carrying out the plan stage, I first found the distance between 17 and 93, then determined that there are 38 complete pairs in the sequence. Next, I identified the middle number, which is 55. Since 55 plus 55 equal to 110, but there is only one 55 in the sequence, it cannot form a pair. Therefore, I added the middle number separately. This gives the formula 38 times 110 plus 55 equal to 4235. Finally, in the looking back stage, I verified my answer using the formula for the sum of n arithmetic series as n equal to n over 2 times by a plus l, where a is the first term and l is the last term. The result is also 4235, which confirms that my strategy and calculation are correct. This verification increases my confidence that the problem has been solved accurately. The next part is solving the Sudoku puzzle. The first strategy I used was scanning the rows and columns to identify numbers that could only fit in one position. This first step was important because every correct number creates new hints for the remaining empty cells. After scanning several times, I successfully completed the first column. After that, I got stuck because there were no obvious numbers left. Instead of guessing randomly, I started using candidate marking, where I noted cells with two possible numbers inside each 3x3 box. This helped me keep track of possible solutions without making mistakes. While analyzing these candidates, I realized that row 9, column 5 had to be 3. This new number immediately gave me additional hints, allowing me to determine the values of row 4, column 2, and row 6, column 4. This shows how solving one cell can unlock several others. The next strategy I used was making logical assumptions based on the candidates. For example, I compared the possible positions of the number 3 in row 8, which eventually allowed me to determine the correct position of 3 in row 3. This wasn't random guessing, it was a logical elimination process. After that, I continued scanning the puzzle and was able to complete column 8. I'll also fill in the 4 in column 6 and 9 in column 9 by checking the relationship between rows, columns, and the 3x3 boxes. As more numbers were filled in, I completed the fourth 3x3 box. Then I shifted my focus to the first 3x3 box. By repeatedly scanning the rows and columns, I was able to complete that box as well. Next, I focused on rows and columns that were almost complete, since they usually require fewer possibilities to check. For example, I completed row 6, which then created even more hints for the remaining puzzle. At one point, I couldn't complete the 8 3x3 box, so instead of forcing an answer, I changed my strategy. I moved to the other part of the Sudoku to search for new hints. This flexibility helped me avoid making incorrect assumptions. By reviewing the candidates' numbers I had marked earlier, I successfully completed column 7 and 9. Then I repeated the scanning process again to finish column 6 and row 4. Finally, after one last scan, I completed the second 3x3 box, and that provided enough information to finish the entire Sudoku. Throughout this puzzle, I mainly relied on pattern recognition, logical elimination, candidate marking, and repeated scanning rather than trial and error. These strategies allowed me to solve an extremely difficult Sudoku systematically and accurately. And lastly, for the reflection. Before taking MAE572, I thought mathematical problem solving was simply about finding the correct answer using the right formula. However, this course changed my understanding of what problem solving really means. I learned several new concepts such as polyas, four phases, heuristic, different problem solving strategies, and the importance of logical thinking and reasoning. I also discovered that there is no single method that works for every problem. Depending on the situation, we can apply different approaches, such as pattern recognition, working backwards, drawing diagrams, systematic listing, and logical deduction. Overall, this course helped me understand that successful problem solving is not only about obtaining the correct answer, but also about selecting an appropriate strategy and explaining the reasoning behind the solution. This course has changed the way I think when solving mathematical problems. One important lesson I learned is to appreciate different perspectives because a problem can often be solved using more than one method. I also realized that understanding concept is much more important than memorizing formulas or procedures. When I truly understand the concept, I become more confident in solving unfamiliar problems. Another valuable lesson is that practice is essential. At first, some questions seem difficult, but throughout continuous practice and reflection, I became more familiar with different strategies and improved my problem-solving skills. This experience also taught me to be more patient and persistent instead of giving up quickly. The knowledge and skills I gained from this course can be applied beyond the mathematics classroom. As a future educator, I can design more engaging lessons that encourage students to think critically instead of simply memorizing formulas. I can also introduce different problem-solving strategies to help students develop confidence in mathematics. Besides, uh, these skills are useful in daily life. For example, when making decisions, I can compare different alternatives, evaluate possible outcomes, and choose the most suitable solution. The systematic thinking developed in this course is also valuable in project management, where planning, organizing tasks, and solving unexpected problems are essential. In my opinion, this course has many strengths. The learning activities were enjoyable and interactive, especially the group activities that encourage discussion and collaboration. The course also emphasized multiple solution methods, which help improve my logical reasoning and critical thinking skills. However, there are also areas for improvement. First, there were limited opportunities for individual practice. Additional individual exercise would allow students to strengthen their understanding and build greater confidence independently. Second, some practice questions use overly complicated wording. In certain cases, It took considerable time just to understand what the question was asking before attempting the mathematical solution. Using clearer and more concise language would help students focus more on applying problem-solving strategies rather than interpreting the wording. Overall, MAE572 has strengthened both my mathematical thinking and my approach to solving problems, and I believe these skills will continue to benefit me in my academic journey and future career.